What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Lotus Asakura, the one who never knows best, and in today's video I want to start off by asking you a quick question. You guys ever seen any of those memes or tweets that go around where it's like me healing my inner child, or it'll be like a smaller character and a bigger character, and it'll be like my inner kid being really happy and me buying stuff that would have made the kid in me like really happy, or something to that effect, something along those lines? I saw one recently that was of like a Totodile and a Feraligatr, and I don't know about you guys. I'll throw it on screen if I can find it. But I relate to those memes and that image on a very personal level, and I imagine that a lot of you guys probably do as well, because if you look around my office and a lot of the things that like I buy and collect, a lot of it is exactly that, me buying stuff that I would have really liked or thought was really cool as a kid or as a teenager. Because growing up, you know, I had plenty. You know, I had a roof over my head, I had food to eat, and I had, you know, my fair share of video games, clothes and shoes and everything like that. It's not like I was poor by any stretch of the imagination. There's some hard times here and there, but we all go through that. But obviously there was a lot that I wanted that I couldn't have, whether it's just because I couldn't afford it or whatever. There's also a lot of things that I had as a kid or as a teenager that I didn't have or don't have anymore because they got stolen or traded or sold or lost or whatever the case may be. And so a lot of what I've done as an adult with adult money is replacing those items or getting the items that I wanted when I was younger that I couldn't have. And so in today's video, I actually want to show you guys some of that stuff, because I recently went on like a little bit of a shopping spree online on like eBay and Etsy and stuff, and I bought some items just like that, and I figured I would do a video for you guys here today because I thought it would be fun. It's obviously no secret that I'm a huge collector of many things: sneakers, video games, anime, manga, skate decks, and everything like that. Some of that is stuff that I've gotten into as an adult. A lot of that is stuff that I got into when I was younger and I always wanted it, and now I can afford to have it. Still not a place in my life where I can just afford to have anything and everything, but I got some things over here that I thought were pretty cool to add to the collection. And I guess we'll start off with this bad boy right here. This look familiar to any of you guys? Yeah? Any of you guys used to have one of these back in the day? Yeah, so I don't even really know what kind of like started this. I've kind of forgotten at this point. But yeah, I was on eBay and I bought an old PS1, and I had the original PlayStation 1 as well, like the one that's like more rectangular and more boxy. And then eventually this one came out and we replaced it with that when I was younger. And I don't really know whatever happened to my original PS1. I can only assume that it got broken at some point and we just discarded it in some form or fashion. But yeah, also to what concerns, this is the SCPH-101, which I think is one of the better models or whatever. From what I hear, whatever. Also, it came with Twisted Metal 4 there in the disc tray. Yeah, this is fully working, came with all the cables and everything as well. And I also got a controller. All the cables are over there. I'm not gonna pick them all up, but I also got a controller along with it, but it's in pretty immaculate condition. You know what I mean? I got this for, I want to say like $60. These aren't like super rare or expensive, but again, it's just one of those things that like I had this as a kid and I spent so many hours playing PlayStation 1 games. Like the PS1 was the first console that I think my parents got for me, because the first consoles I ever played were like Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, but those weren't actually mine. And I actually own a Nintendo 64 that I've had since I was a kid, but it was like passed down to me. But the PlayStation 1 was like my first, like my personal video game console. And I spent so many hours playing things like Tekken and Cool Borders. And I mean, actually, you guys know, if you've been around long enough, I did a whole video a while back, like a couple Christmases ago, where I bought myself a bunch of stuff that I kind of forgot about because I just let the packages build up and then I opened them all on Christmas or whatever. And a lot of that was older video games, again, to either, you know, get stuff that I wanted as a kid that I didn't have anymore, or that I recollected that I no longer had. And if I just grab some of those off the shelf here, we have a bunch of stuff like that, like Dragon Ball GT Final Bout, which I don't think is a particularly great game, but it's one of those games I always wanted as a kid that I never got. Same thing goes for like this Inuyasha, a Feudal Fairy Tale game. And then we have a bunch of games that I did actually play a ton of, like this silly Beyblade game that I'm sure aged like milk, but I loved it when I was younger. Or Digimon World 3, which is one of my favorite video games of all time, actually. I think this game still holds up to this day, gameplay wise. Maybe not visually, it's a PS1 game, but gameplay wise, this is still one of them ones. This is still one of my absolute favorite games of all time. And then all the old Tekken games, Tekken 1, 2, and 3, like, man, yeah, the amount of hours, especially Tekken 3, man, the amount of hours I spent playing Tekken 3 as a kid, I could not even tell you. It had to be hundreds upon hundreds, if not somewhere in the thousands, because that was probably my favorite game for a very long time. But yeah, getting a PS1 back in the collection is just one of those things where it's like, I know you can emulate these games. I know that they even came out with like the PlayStation 1 Classic and stuff like that. And like, I'm not opposed to things of that nature, but for me, there's just something special about having physical copies and like original hardware for stuff like this. It makes me feel very happy. It brings a smile to my face. And it's not to say that like, I guess that maybe gives the impression that like I just care a lot about material things, and it's kind of like hard to deny that when I'm such a collector and I have so much stuff like in this office, right? But it's not like being materialistic per se. It's just more so that it's just like well, I don't know, maybe that is just me being materialistic. When I think of, I just feel like that's the wrong connotation, you know, because I feel like when you call somebody materialistic, or you think of the idea of materialistic, it's somebody who's just like, that's all they care about. They're a very shallow person. It's all about spending money and everything like that. And it's not about the money for me, and it's not about having really nice things. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate very nice things, but it's something deeper than that. It's on like a more emotional level than anything else. You know what I mean? Interpret that how you will, I suppose. But yeah, we got an original PS1 with all the cables and the controller, and that was like one of the first things I picked up. Next up, I kind of want to talk to you guys about some old Pokemon stuff, okay? So right here, I have my original copy from when I was a kid of Pokemon Ruby. I don't know how many of you guys have looked recently on eBay or online at all and tried to find older Pokemon stuff. It's pretty valuable and expensive these days. And like, I knew that some of the stuff that I had was pretty rare and like valuable, because I have like OG Gen 1 stuff, right? All the way from all the way back to like Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow and everything. But I did not realize how crazy Gen 3 stuff in particular, and just like all is like Gen 3 and back, or Gen 4 and back really, how much that stuff has increased in price. The reason why I'm showing you Ruby, because this is my original copy that I had as a kid, is that this sticker is actually a replacement sticker that I got from a seller on eBay that is spot on, and I don't really know if I can get the shine to show up, but it's holographic and everything, and it's perfect. But yeah, I've had this since I was a kid. I remember the story of how I got this as well. I was with my great grandmother, who was elderly, as you might imagine, right? And an avid bingo player. She took me to play bingo with her one day, and I actually won, and I hit for $100, which as a kid was $1 million, right? And one of the first things I did, because that's what I did back in the day, was spend all my money on video games, was go to the store and buy Pokemon Ruby and Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2. So I've had this since way back when. So obviously there's a lot of precious memories for me with this, and I hold this very near and dear, and it means a lot to me. Funnily enough, Gen 3 is actually one of my least favorite generations of Pokemon, and I actively talk trash about it all the time. But I would never depart with this for anything, you know what I mean? And eventually, the sticker just ended up peeling off or getting torn off, or whatever. Actually, I remember before the sticker was peeling, it just came back to me. The sticker was peeling. I would constantly like smooth it back out and flatten it down. And I don't remember who did it, but I remember I was with somebody. It could have been one of my parents. It could have been a friend or whatever. They saw the sticker was peeling and they just ripped it off like a Band-Aid. And I was so distraught. I was so fucking mad, because I was like, no, dog. Because like, that's always been me. I've always cared about having original packaging and keeping the boxes and keeping the stickers and everything like that. A lot of people didn't appreciate that. I guess I've just always been a little bit of a collector or a hoarder, even since I was a kid. But yeah, and so for years now, I just have had this as a blank cartridge. And just recently I was like, I wonder if I can find a replacement sticker. And it's funny because I have my OG copies of like the original Pokemon games from Gen 1. And I personally made replacement stickers myself for those cartridges. And I never thought to find some for Gen 3 or like make them myself. And I found some on Etsy. And if you're curious about like where to get this, in case you want to get some replacement stickers for yourself, I can leave a link to the seller in the description down below, as long as I don't forget. But yeah, it looks really good. It looks really good. So I'm really happy to have that. And then just quickly to show you, here we have my original copy of Pokemon Yellow from all the way back in the day when I was a kid, which again, this is something that has increased a lot in value over the years, way more than I realized. But that sticker is actually a replacement sticker that I made myself in Photoshop and then got printed out and slapped on there. I did the same thing for Pokemon Blue and Yellow. I'm sorry, for Blue and Red. I think my Red copy, though, I still have the original sticker because it wasn't that bad. But for my Blue one, I definitely replaced that one. So yeah, you can definitely tell the difference just in like the sharpness and the fading of the colors and everything like that. Here on my Blue cartridge, you can see that I replaced that sticker, and then this red one still has the original sticker from back in the day. But yeah, man. Also worth noting that these are currently sitting on a display stand for my Game Boy Color, or one of my Game Boy Colors. I have several, but a display that I bought that shows all of my 6 original games from Gen 1 and 2 alongside my special Pokemon Edition Game Boy Color. I also bought some display stands for my other Game Boy Colors because I have a collection of those as well, because again, I don't need to explain myself any further. Y'all know why you're here at this point, right? But yeah, these are all sitting on that display, and if I remember, I'll show a picture of that on screen right now. I don't want to like lift it because I don't want everything to like fall off or anything, but yeah. Also, while we're at it, what is your guys' favorite Pokemon generation of all time, and what is your favorite game in each generation? If there's a generation that you haven't played, that's fine, because there are some that I haven't played either, but we'll get back to that in just a moment. Because something else that I picked up, there is a whole world that I was recently introduced to that I didn't know existed. once I realized and discovered that you could get a replacement sticker for your cartridges, I found out that you could also get like replacement boxes, manuals. People even like make like fake copies or like, you know, repro copies of entire games, which I get it, but I just never even thought of before. And so I started doing my research and looking around and watching videos and reviews and finding listings, everything like that. And then I discovered and realized and came across these bad boys right here. We have some replacement boxes for some of my original Pokemon games. So of course I had to get the OG Gen 1 stuff, as well as a box for the Pokemon trading card game, which I believe my cartridge is over there on that shelf back there. I guess I'll go grab it real quick. Give me 1 second. So right here I have the Pokemon trading card game for Game Boy Color that I've had since I was a kid, and I got a box. Now these are also in like these little these like plastic cases that I'm keeping them in for protection's sake. But yeah, I bought these just for display purposes, just for the collection, everything like that. I just think that they look really, really nice. I've had these sitting back there on the shelf, and I will be getting more. I will be getting more. These are the first 4 that I bought, but I really like how these turned out, and I will be getting some more of these. But here we have the one for the Pokemon trading card game, which, I mean, they look and feel exactly like how I can remember, and they look really, really nice. They're made of some pretty good material. They're probably a little bit sturdier, shinier, a little bit more crisp than they were back in the day. But you know, I don't have original boxes to compare them to. I do have the original box for my lime green Game Boy Color, but obviously that's not the same as having this. Well, actually, I have a bunch of like old GBA games that are back there. Like I have a bunch of Shaman King games, Yu Yu Hakusho games that are over there and everything like that. If you guys ever want to see, well, I did an office tour video, so I guess you can see some of that stuff if you really want to. But yeah, if you ever want me to go in depth about any of this stuff, you guys let me know. That's something I wouldn't be opposed to doing if you want to see it. But yeah, then we have all the Gen 1 games. So we have Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, and I just think that these are absolutely gorgeous. And I know there's some glare and reflection and stuff because, you know, the lights, and I have these in these plastic slip covers or whatever, but I don't want to bother opening these up and taking them all out. I think you can still get a good enough look at them like this. Maybe that helps a little bit. There we have Red, and then we have Blue, which I always liked Blue more than Red personally, because I've always liked Blastoise way more than I like Charizard. But that's just me personally. I know not everybody agrees with that. And then we have Pokemon Yellow, which for me has always been my favorite of the original 3 Generation 1 games. I guess 4 technically if you're counting Green like they got in Japan, but we never got here in America. But yeah, Pokemon Yellow was my first Pokemon game. And I still have, like I said, my original copy that my grandmother got for me when I got my first Game Boy, which was a lime green Game Boy Color. And I just nostalgia, man. One hell of a drug. It's one hell of a drug. It's dangerous, but it is what it is. Yeah, these weren't terribly expensive either. I want to say I got these all together for, oh man, I don't know. I want to say it was like 30 bucks, something like that. They were like maybe $8 a piece, something around there. I got them again from a seller off Etsy. And I found some for like Generation 2, so I will be getting some for Gold, Silver, and Crystal that actually have like a little holographic effect to them and everything as well. So very excited about that. But if this video is something that you guys are enjoying and you're into, let me know if you'd want to see more like this. It's not something that's going to be very regular. You might get 1 to 2 a year at most, to be honest. But I'm going to be buying more stuff like this and more games and consoles and collectibles and everything like that. So if you guys want to see little pickup videos every once in a while for stuff like this, let me know and I would be happy to do it again. But we're not done yet. We've got some more. We've got some more. So remember earlier how I asked what your favorite generation of Pokemon is and like what your favorite game is in each generation? And if you haven't played a certain generation, that's fine, just skip over it or whatever. I feel you on that because there are several generations of Pokemon that I never got to play, despite being such a huge fan of it when I was a kid. And the reason for that is because I never owned a Nintendo DS of any kind. Not the original, not a DS Lite, not a 3DS, a DSi, a 2DS. I've never owned any version of a Nintendo DS before. Until now. So, in my spree, one of the things I recently picked up was a damn near mint condition, a silver DS Lite. I mean, this thing is in just immaculate condition. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's super clean. Came with a stylus and everything. What's funny is I actually bought a replacement stylus because in the eBay listing on the photos, there was no stylus in the picture. So I just assumed that it didn't come with one. But when it showed up, it actually had one. But I got this with the original charger, stylus, and everything. You might have seen that the light is flashing because it's on right now. And I'm sure you know where this is going. If I flip this open real quick, you can see that I'm currently in the middle of playing a little bit of Pokemon. Because I've never actually played Generation 4 or 5 or 6 for that matter, or just any of the DS games of Pokemon. So we not only got a DS Lite, but I also went out and got a bunch of DS games for it, obviously, so that I can play those because I never had before. And again, I know you can emulate this stuff, but for me, there's just something more fun, more like immersive or whatever about playing original copies of games on original hardware. So I've got a little stack of games here, and I guess we'll show these off first because I picked up Pokemon Pearl and Pokemon Diamond. Now I know what I know a lot of you are about to say, and I know what you're thinking. Pokemon Platinum is where it's at. You got to get Platinum. How could you not get Platinum? Platinum is so much better. Platinum. Well, again, don't know when the last time is that you guys have looked around to see what the price of some of the stuff is. Pokemon Platinum is like $100 or more if you try to find a copy of that game, especially if you're like me and you want to get it with the original box and manuals and everything like that, which I did do with all of the stuff that I've been picking up. I was able to get these for like 50 bucks. Pokemon Platinum by itself is $100 for just like the cartridge if you can find it, let alone with like the box and the manual and everything. There's a website I recently discovered called Price Charting, and on there you can type in stuff like, let's say Pokemon Platinum, or this, let's say a Charizard card or a Yu-Gi-Oh card or whatever it is, right? Specific stuff, and you can see how much the price has like increased or decreased over time. And what I realized is that a lot of stuff, like especially old collectibles, video games, especially Pokemon stuff, Yu-Gi-Oh stuff as well, a lot of this stuff became a lot more valuable during COVID because it became a lot more sought after. And obviously these things are only getting rarer over time. The older something is, the harder it's going to be to find, right? Even though Pokemon is an incredibly popular franchise with millions of copies of every single game in circulation, it is what it is, right? And so I was under the impression that stuff spiked during COVID, but it's probably falling back down by now. As it turns out, boy, was I wrong, and how naive of that, how naive that was of me, because stuff like this is actually at the most valuable it has ever been. And that goes for things that I do have and things that I don't have. Like recently, here, I grabbed it off the shelf just so I could show you guys. How many of you guys are aware of this little game right here? This is one of my absolute favorite games of all time, and might be like my second or third favorite Pokemon game of all time. But here I have my copy of Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness from when I was a kid. Still got the manuals and everything, still complete in box, whatever. This game is like around like $200 now, which blew my mind. And again, like I collect enough different things to understand how markets work, and I've collected enough video games to understand, like, yeah, some of the stuff is really rare and valuable, but it's just crazy to see how much it has gone up like in the last 4 years or so. Because even though a lot of the stuff that I do have is my original stuff when I was a kid, like I have, you know, Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, Crystal. The copy of Pokemon Gold that I have is an authentic original copy. It's actually not mine from when I was a kid. I never owned Pokemon Gold back in the day. I've had that for like probably well over 10 years now at this point, because I bought it as a teenager, but I bought it off eBay for probably like 20 bucks. It's a lot more than $20 now. Crystal itself, I want to say it's like $100, $150, something crazy. You know what I mean? Like thankfully I've had Silver and Crystal since I was a kid, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's just nuts to see how much some of the stuff has increased in price. Same thing goes for Pokemon Coliseum. This is the Player's Choice Edition. This isn't like the original Black Label, but again, I've had this since I was a kid. By the way, like the things I would do to have these games on the Nintendo Switch, or like remakes, remasters, whatever, like reboots, and like, again, I have original hardware, I have the games, I could go play them, but it's just like, it's not even for me. It's partially for me, but like there's so many people who haven't played these games, I need them to experience, because these are two of the best Pokemon games ever made, in my opinion. These are so good. They're so good. Everything from like the music, just the style of the games, and just like how you start off with the Pokemon, man, the whole capturing the shadow Pokemon and everything, it's sick. It's really, really sick. I highly recommend them if you've never played them. Obviously you're probably better off going one route than the other, because they're kind of hard to get a hold of, but it is what it is. Anyway, rambling and all over the place, but it's going to be like that whenever I do videos like this. I picked up Pokemon Pearl and Diamond. I'm currently playing through Pokemon Pearl. I started with Pearl first, even though I would prefer Diamond just because Pearl came in the mail before Diamond did, and I was just itching to play. But yeah, and I got the remakes. So I got, what is it, Shining Pearl and Brilliant Diamond, and I gave Diamond to my girl, and I kept Pearl for myself. And I played it for like an hour or two, and it was cool, and I was enjoying it, but I never really finished it. Funnily enough, I'm like 6 badges in the Pokemon Pearl right now. And it's just like, playing through these OG games, or I guess this OG game before, for one, I think I would have loved Generation 4 if I ever played it as a kid. I know I've watched some videos and stuff, and I've heard and I've seen how much better Platinum is compared to Pearl and Diamond, so I just know Platinum would be one of my favorite games of all time. And also, I've never played Heart Gold and Soul Silver. My favorite generation of all time is Gen 2, right? Gold, Silver, Crystal. If I'd ever played Heart Gold or Soul Silver, if I'd ever owned a DS, which I probably would have played those games and had it if I ever owned a DS, those would be my favorite games of all time, I'm sure. It's, at least as far as Pokemon goes. I want to get my hands on those, but again, the prices on them bad boys are, they ain't nothing pretty. They ain't nothing pretty. And it's one of those things too, where it's like, I'm not even necessarily opposed to spending that type of money on those because I want it bad enough and I'm just a collector or whatever. But also it's like, this is the absolute highest in value some of these things have ever been. And it's like, surely it won't keep going up, right? But it likely will. So it's like one of those things where it's on the fence. It's like, do I hold off now and hope that it drops in price and I can get it for cheaper later and save myself some money? Or do I bite the bullet now because it's only going to keep going up in value? Because while I was doing my research and buying these hauls and like learning about repros and real versus fakes and you know, the value and everything like that, I came across like different videos doing comparisons and reviews and discussions and things like that. And there was a video I saw from about 3 or 4 years ago talking about Pokemon Emerald, which is like a $200 game now just for a loose cartridge, and then like $700 if you want to get it with the box and everything, and then even more if it's like brand new, right? And in the video, and there were multiple videos I watched with the same sentiment, it was like, these prices can't keep going up forever, it will eventually fall, the market will crash at some point, whatever. And it just hasn't happened. I mean, it's fluctuated a tiny little bit, but it's just always like, just constantly going up higher and higher and higher. So in my mind, I'm like, do I just bite the bullet now and just pay the prices for these things before it gets even higher, or will it actually fall at some point? You know, the economics would tell you that it is going to fall at some point, but the trends right now don't really say that. So I don't know. It is what it is. I have Pokemon Pearl and Diamond, and I got a few other games here. I have Naruto Ninja Council 3 and 4. I have the original Naruto Ninja Council 2 on GBA, brand new sealed in the plastic back there on my shelf. And I never played 3 and 4 because I didn't have a Nintendo DS. So now I got these complete in the box with everything. And then I also have a little game right here known as Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor. As you guys know, or as you may or may not know, I'm a pretty big Persona fan. So Persona 5 is one of my favorite games of all time. Currently in the middle of a playthrough of Persona 5 Royal, playing through that for the first time because I had the collector's edition for forever. Never got around to playing it. Atlas recently reached out to me and gave me Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance for free. That game is really sick, enjoying that as well. And so that was my first exposure to true SMT. And obviously I've played Persona 3, Reload, 4 Golden, everything like that. But I've never just played like a straight up Shin Megami Tensei game before. I think even this is technically a spin-off of some sort, because it's not a mainline game, right? It's a spin-off, because like the mainline SMT games are SMT, you know, 5, 4, 3, whatever. But I've heard good things about this. And I know there's like a 3DS one that's called like Overclocked or something like that. And I'm the type of guy who's probably going to buy that version as well, because again, hoarder, collector, whatever. But I'm looking forward to playing this because I've heard really good things about this game. And I believe there's a sequel as well, like a Devil Survivor 2, and again, like an upgraded version of that on the 3DS. But you'll notice that I don't have a 3DS, but I do plan on getting one. I want to buy a new Nintendo 3DS XL and get some 3DS games for that as well, because obviously there's some games I just can't play. And if you're wondering why I got a DS Lite, it's because I value having the GBA slot. I want to be able to play some of my GBA games if I so choose. And it's just also, I got this pretty cheap for about 50, 60 bucks and in such great condition with everything with it. Couldn't pass it up. It's really nice. I like it a lot. Really wanted this color as well. The silver just looks so clean and so nice. It's just, yeah, this thing, it looks brand new. I'm still like in awe of that. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon lately. But I want to get a 3DS XL as well. And I plan on getting a Vita. And yeah, I got a little shopping list on my notepad of a bunch of things I'm looking at and a bunch of stuff in my watch list on eBay. So that is everything I think that I picked up. There's more stuff I could ramble about if I really wanted to. But those are like all the major pickups that I made recently that I kind of wanted to share with you guys and just talk about and let you in just on like what I've been up to in terms of like collecting and just, you know, healing that inner child. Not healing, I feel like that doesn't actually describe it, but just making the inner kid in me happy, you know what I mean? Just because I'm an adult who can afford to buy some of those things that I couldn't afford to buy when I was 8 or even 18 for that matter. Like a lot of the sneakers that I buy and collect are things that like I wanted when I was in high school, and it's like I can't have every pair, but I got a lot of them. You know what I mean? And even back then when I was in high school, I had a lot of shoes. Like I had 20 to 30 pairs at a time, which is a lot for anybody, but especially a teenager. But like I was buying and selling and like flipping and like restoring and doing things to make money to buy more shoes, and now I have more than ever before. But yeah, man, that I think that does it. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. Like I said, I got those display stands for my Game Boy Colors and everything like that, and there will be some more stuff on the way. Oh, also actually there was this cool keychain that I got for Tekken 3 that I thought was really cool. I currently have this hanging off the hand of my Jin statue that came with Tekken 8, but I thought this was really cool. It's like the PS1 case for Tekken 3 as a keychain. I thought that was pretty sick. I got this for a few dollars off eBay, and I was like, hell yeah, man. I don't even know how I came across that, but I saw it and I was like, I need that. But that's gonna do it. That's my little nostalgia haul for you guys. Like I said, if you want to see more like this, then let me know. Hopefully you guys see some comments supporting this video. I'm sure the views won't be crazy on this, but I don't really care. It's just something I wanted to do because I thought there'd be a few people out there who would enjoy this as much as I enjoyed collecting these things, as much as I'm enjoying like reliving that or living through some of it for the first time, like with Pokemon Diamond and Pearl and everything. So with that, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already so you can stay tuned for all else content that I'm bringing you. And with all that being said, that's pretty much all I have for today. And remember, nothing can happen until you swing the bat. Later.